Do-hyun watched the alien representatives leave, a slight smile on his face. They understood humanity's power, but not the reason behind it. Their independent evolution had led to unexpected innovations and solutions. Outside the conference room, the once mighty Galactic fleet was being repaired. Their advanced armada had been neutralized by a single human vessel, a humbling experience that would not be forgotten. The encounter marked a turning point. The Velhari Concordat had learned a valuable lesson about underestimating humanity. They would approach future interactions with newfound respect and caution. As the diplomatic ships prepared to depart, Do-hyun knew this was more than just a military victory. It was a demonstration of human ingenuity, resourcefulness, and commitment to peaceful resolution. The universe had just been reminded that humanity was a force to be reckoned with. How? He demanded, turning to his science officer. How is one ship doing this to us? The science officer had been analyzing the human vessel since the battle began. He looked up from his console, his 4 eyes blinking rapidly in distress. Their technology isn't just advanced, he replied, his voice hollow with realization. It's different. They've taken a completely different evolutionary path in weapons development. He pulled up a diagram on his screen. Our civilization, like most others in the Concordat, developed energy weapons that release destructive force. The humans instead created systems that manipulate and redirect energy itself. Tuckrow stared at the small silver ship visible through his viewport. It no longer glowed, having released its stored energy in the attack. Such a small vessel. How could his people have misjudged the humans so badly? His thoughts were interrupted as every working screen on his bridge suddenly displayed the human admiral's face. Do-hyun's expression was serious, but not threatening. Commander Tuckrow, the human said, your main battleships have been disabled. We could have destroyed your entire fleet with the energy you provided us, but that's not our way. Earth does not seek conflict. Do-hyun paused, letting his words sink in. We came here with diplomatic credentials, as I told you from the beginning. Earth wishes to open real diplomatic channels, not the one-sided arrangement your Concordat has forced on smaller species in this sector. Tuckrow felt the weight of 3 centuries of Velhari military dominance crashing down around him. He had been so certain that the humans were either bluffing or foolish to send a single ship. Now he understood. This had never been a military incursion. It was a demonstration of power. Around his disabled flagship, the rest of the Velhari fleet was in disarray. Some captains were preparing to flee. Others were calling for assistance. A few of the more aggressive commanders were preparing to continue the fight. Stand down all weapons, Tuckrow ordered over the fleet-wide channel. All ships, stand down immediately. He turned back to the human on his screen. Admiral, your point is made. The Velhari Concordat is willing to discuss new diplomatic arrangements. Do-hyun nodded, satisfaction visible in his eyes. That's all we wanted, Commander. A conversation between equals. Tuckrow looked around his darkened bridge. Emergency systems were slowly bringing some functions back online. His crew was watching him, waiting to see how he would respond to this unprecedented defeat. In 300 years of expansion, the Velhari had never encountered a species that could stand against their military might. They had grown comfortable in their dominance, certain that their technology was superior to all others. Now, a single human ship had disabled half their fleet without suffering a scratch. Tuckrow straightened his posture, his neck frills relaxing as he made his decision. Admiral Do-hyun, the Velhari accept your offer of diplomatic talks. When can we begin? On the bridge of the dauntless asterisk, Do-hyun allowed himself a small smile. Earth's gamble had paid off. One ship had been enough to change the balance of power in this entire sector of space. We can begin immediately, Commander, he replied. That's why we came. In the aftermath of the unexpected confrontation, Do-hyun stood before a gathering of alien representatives from the Velhari Concordat. The conference room buzzed with tension and curiosity. The Arcturian delegate, struggling with his translator, asked about the mysterious ship's capabilities. Sun Mai, the technical expert, explained how their vessel could redirect energy rather than simply absorb it. She spoke of fundamental physics, that energy cannot be created or destroyed, only transformed. The aliens listened carefully, trying to comprehend this unique technology. Tuckrow, still puzzled, questioned why only one ship was sent. Was it a display of arrogance? Du Hyun quickly clarified their approach. Humans, he explained, came from a world of limited resources. They learned to be efficient, to do more with less. One ship was all they needed to make their point. The room fell silent when the Cassiopean representative asked what would have happened if they had destroyed the vessel. Du Hyun's response was calm and direct. Earth would simply send another diplomat. They preferred peace. The implications were clear. If this was just a diplomatic ship, what might Earth's actual warships be capable of? The alien representatives exchanged worried glances. As the meeting ended and new treaty terms were being drafted, Engineer Jeho approached Do Hyun. They discussed how the other species didn't truly understand humanity's unique path. While other civilizations shared technologies and developed together, humans had solved their challenges in isolation. When the Velhari missiles reached this cloud, the drones attacked. Each one targeted a missile, attached to it, and redirected its course. Some missiles were sent harmlessly into empty space. Others were guided back toward the Velhari fleet, though carefully directed to miss the ships and just show what was possible. Meanwhile, the glow around the dauntless asterisk intensified. The ship now appeared to be surrounded by a halo of light, pulsing with power. In his command chair, Tuckrow watched with growing horror. Nothing in the 300-year history of Velhari space combat had prepared him for this. His mighty fleet, the pride of his civilization, was helpless. "Sir," his science officer said quietly, "I think we should consider the humans' offer to talk." Tuckrow couldn't respond. His eyes were fixed on the glowing human ship. Do Hyun's face appeared on the Velhari screens again. "Commander Tuckrow, I understand this is difficult to accept. Your civilization has dominated this sector for centuries. But Earth developed in isolation, facing unique challenges. Our technology took a different path." Do Hyun's expression remained calm, but his words carried weight. "We don't wish to destroy your fleet. That would be wasteful and contrary to our mission. We came to establish diplomatic relations, but you need to understand that your weapons cannot harm us, and continuing to attack will only provide us with more energy to use." For the first time in his long military career, Commander Tuckrow felt true fear. The human ship now glowed like a small star, filled with the very energy his fleet had fired at it. He realized that he had made a terrible mistake. The humans hadn't sent a single ship because they were weak or arrogant. They had sent one ship because that was all they needed. The Velhari fleet changed tactics. After seeing their energy weapons absorbed by the strange human ship, they turned to physical attacks. Hundreds of missiles and solid projectiles streaked across space toward the dauntless asterisk. "They're launching physical projectiles now," Lieutenant Hae-Newell reported calmly from her tactical station. Her fingers moved quickly across her control panel. "Activating kinetic interceptors." Admiral Do Hyun nodded, watching the attack approach on the main screen. "They're learning, but not quickly enough." From small ports along the hull of the dauntless asterisk, thousands of tiny objects emerged. Each was smaller than a grain of rice, but packed with advanced technology. These microscopic drones spread out in a protective cloud around the human ship. When the Velhari missiles reached this defensive cloud, the drones attached themselves to each projectile. Some drones vaporized their targets with intense heat. Others hijacked the guidance systems and sent the missiles veering off into empty space. Not a single projectile reached the dauntless asterisk. On the Velhari flagship, Commander Tuckrow slammed his fist against his command console in frustration. "Nothing works against them. How is this possible?" His weapons officer had no answer. The entire bridge crew watched in silence as their last attack failed completely. Meanwhile, aboard the human ship, Engineer Jai-Ho was monitoring the energy systems. The Dauntless was still glowing with the power it had absorbed from the Velhari weapons. All stored energy has been converted to our signature matrix, Jai-Ho reported. Primary weapons are ready to deploy. Do-hyun took a deep breath. This was the moment that would change everything. The Velhari needed to understand that their dominance in this sector of space was over, but he wanted to minimize loss of life. Target their command vessels only, he ordered. Disable their weapons and propulsion systems. Minimal casualties. Hanul nodded, her fingers dancing across her tactical console. Targets locked. Ready to fire. Proceed, Do-hyun said quietly. The Dauntless pulsed once with bright light. 5 precisely targeted energy beams shot out from the human vessel, each one a different color. The beams moved with impossible speed toward the center of the Velhari formation, where their largest ships were positioned. When the beams reached the Velhari ships, they passed through the alien shields as if they weren't there. Each beam struck with surgical precision, targeting only specific systems. Weapons arrays went dark. Engine sections powered down. Communications equipment failed. Ship after ship in the heart of the Velhari fleet suddenly went silent and began to drift. In less than 10 seconds, the 5 most powerful vessels in the alien armada had been completely disabled. On the bridge of his flagship, Commander Tukro stared at his displays in horror. His mighty warship, the pride of the Velhari fleet, was now drifting helplessly in space. Emergency lighting cast an eerie red glow over the bridge. His crew looked to him for answers he didn't have. Engineer Jai-Ho checked his readings. Capacity at 47% and rising steadily, Admiral. The new matrix is actually performing better than we expected. These Velhari weapons are quite powerful. Do-hyun nodded thoughtfully. The aliens had now thrown everything they had at the Dauntless without effect. It was time to show them why that was a mistake. He stood up from his command chair, his expression serious. Tactical, prepare demonstration level 1. Lieutenant Haenul's fingers moved quickly across her console. Demonstration level 1 prepared, sir. Targeting outer vessels only. Meanwhile, on the bridge of the Velhari flagship, Commander Tukro was in the middle of an urgent meeting with his science team. His neck frills were flat against his neck, a sign of extreme stress among his species. I want answers, he shouted at his science officers. How is this possible? We've hit them with enough firepower to destroy a small moon. No shield technology should be able to withstand such an attack. The science officers looked at each other nervously. None wanted to speak first. Finally, the youngest one stepped forward. Commander, we have a theory, but it's difficult to accept. Speak, Tukro demanded. Before the science officer could answer, the sensor officer interrupted from his station. Sir, we're detecting an unusual energy pattern from the human vessel. His voice shook as he read the data. It appears to be using our own weapon signatures. Tukro's scales, normally a vibrant purple, turned pale gray. What are you saying? The sensor officer looked up from his screen, his 4 eyes wide with fear. The human ship, sir, it's absorbing our energy weapons. Somehow, they're taking the energy we fire at them and storing it. Tukro stared at the small silver ship on his view screen. That's impossible. No known technology can do that. On the bridge of the Dauntless Do-hyun gave the order. Release pattern Alpha. Minimal yield. Hanul nodded. Releasing pattern Alpha. Minimal yield, sir. For a brief moment, the human ship seemed to pulse with light. Then, a wave of energy burst from the Dauntless. The energy signatures were identical to the Velhari's own weapons, but carefully controlled. The pulse struck 3 ships on the outer edge of the alien formation. Instantly, their engines went dark. The vessels began to drift, disabled but not destroyed. Commander Tuckrow watched in horror as 3 of his ships went silent. His tactical officer was frantically trying to re-establish communication with them. Impossible. Tuckrow growled, his claws digging into the armrests of his command chair. They've turned our own weapons against us. The main screen on his bridge suddenly changed. The human admiral's face appeared, calm and serious. Every ship in the Velhari fleet received the same transmission. Velhari Command, Du Hyun said, his voice level. Your weapons technology is based on Lorentz particle acceleration. Earth discovered this principle centuries ago and moved beyond it. What you fire at us, we simply recycle. Do Hyun paused, letting his words sink in. The 3 vessels we disabled are undamaged except for their propulsion systems. Their crews are safe. This was a minimal demonstration of our capabilities. Tuckrow felt his secondary heart begin to race, a dangerous sign in his species. Panic was setting in. He turned to his tactical officer. All vessels switched to kinetic weapons immediately. Launch missiles and projectiles. But even as he gave the order, Tuckrow could see that the human ship was beginning to glow with a strange light. The energy they had absorbed was building up, ready to be released. On the Dauntless Sun Mooney monitored the reaction of the Velhari fleet. They're preparing to launch physical weapons now, Admiral. Missiles and projectiles. Do Hyun nodded. As expected. They always try kinetic weapons next. Should I activate the defensive field? Hae Newell asked. Yes, and prepare for demonstration level 2. It's time they understood exactly what they're facing. Jaiho looked up from his engineering station. Sir, we're now at 58% energy capacity. If we absorb much more without releasing it, we'll need to vent some into space. Understood, Du Hyun replied. We'll use what we need for the next demonstration. Across the void of space, the Velhari ships began launching missiles, hundreds of them, streaking toward the Dauntless with deadly intent. Hae Newell activated the secondary defense system. Around the human ship, thousands of tiny lights appeared, microscopic drones deploying from hidden compartments in the hull. They spread out in a cloud around the vessel. On the main view screen, they could see the Velhari ships continuing their assault. For 3 full minutes, the aliens poured destructive energy at the Dauntless. Finally, they paused, presumably to assess damage. They've stopped firing, Hae Newell confirmed. Now they'll be confused. Du Hyun said, open a channel to their commander. Sun Lai quickly established the connection. Du Hyun straightened in his chair as he prepared to deliver Earth's message. Velhari Command, he broadcast, his voice calm and measured. The Earth vessel Dauntless requests you stand down. This is your only warning. We have no desire for conflict. On the Velhari flagship, Tuckrow watched the human appear on his screen with growing rage. The small, soft-looking creature showed no fear, no signs of damage to his ship. How was this possible? Scan them again, he ordered his science officer. There must be something we're missing. The science officer worked frantically at his station. Commander, I'm detecting unusual energy readings from the human vessel, but nothing that explains how they survived our attack. Their hull should have vaporized instantly. Tuckrow's anger reached a breaking point. Without responding to the human's message, he turned to his tactical officer. All ships resume fire. Maximum power. I want that ship destroyed. Once again, the Velhari fleet opened fire. This time, they diverted power from life support systems to increase weapon strength. The energy output was nearly double their previous attack. Aboard the Dauntless, Jaiho's eyebrows rose slightly as he monitored the new readings. They've increased power, Admiral. Energy absorption now at 27% capacity. Do Hyun nodded. They're getting desperate. Should we demonstrate our capabilities now? Sun Mai asked. Do Hyun considered for a moment. Not yet. Let them exhaust their options first. They need to understand that their current approach is completely ineffective. The Velhari continued their assault for another 5 minutes. The crew of the Dauntless went about their duties calmly, occasionally glancing at the view screen where the alien fleet's weapons fire continued to disappear into the invisible barrier around their ship. In the Velhari flagship, panic was beginning to spread. Tuckrow had never faced anything like this in his 300 years of military service. "Commander," his tactical officer said hesitantly, "we've expended 40% of our energy reserves, and there's still no damage to the human vessel." Tuckrow's frills drooped, a sign of confusion and distress. "How is this possible? No gnome technology can absorb that much energy." His science officer looked up from his console, his 4 eyes wide. "Commander, I'm detecting an energy buildup within the human ship. It's similar to our own weapon signatures." "What are you saying?" Tuckrow demanded. "I think," the science officer said slowly, "they're not just blocking our attacks. They're somehow collecting the energy we're firing at them." Tuckrow stared at the small human ship on his view screen. For the first time in centuries of military conquest, he felt something he had forgotten existed: fear. On the Dauntless, Du-hyun watched as the Velhari fleet finally ceased fire again. They had been throwing everything they had at his ship for nearly 10 minutes without effect. "They've stopped again," Haenul reported. "I'm detecting communications between their ships. They seem to be reassessing their strategy." Do-hyun nodded. "Now they're beginning to understand. Open the channel again." Once more, he faced the Velhari commander on the view screen. This time, he noticed the alien's neck frills were no longer fully extended. "Progress." "Velhari command," Du-hyun said firmly. "Your weapons cannot harm us. We came here to talk, not to fight. This demonstration was necessary to prevent future misunderstandings between our species. Will you now discuss matters peacefully?" There was a long pause before the Velhari commander responded. When he did, his voice contained less arrogance than before. "What are you?" Tuckrow asked simply. Do-hyun allowed himself a small smile. "We are humans, and we would very much like to have a conversation about the future of this sector of space." The Dauntless floated silently in space, surrounded by the massive Velhari fleet. For 20 minutes, the aliens had been firing continuously at the human ship. Their energy weapons, powerful enough to destroy small moons, simply vanished when they reached the human vessel. Science Officer Sunmei shook her head as she watched the tactical display. "They're still firing. They really aren't going to listen, are they?" "They never do," Admiral Du-hyun replied with a small sigh. He had seen this pattern before with other species. "How is our energy storage?" On screen, the Velhari commander appeared again, his neck frills now fully extended in a display of dominance. "Human vessel, your time is up. Your sensors must show that you are completely surrounded. Power down your engines and prepare to be boarded." Do-hyun met the alien's gaze steadily. "I warned you against hostile action, Commander. Earth has authorized me to defend this vessel with all necessary force." The alien's frills vibrated with amusement. "Defend? With what? Our scans show minimal weapons on your ship. This will be over quickly." "Yes," Du-hyun agreed, "it will be." The connection cut off abruptly as the Velhari ended the transmission. "They're firing," Haenul announced calmly. Outside, the space around the Dauntless lit up as energy weapons from a dozen Velhari ships converged on the seemingly defenseless human vessel. Do-hyun settled back in his chair. "Activate primary systems." Jaiho's fingers danced across his console. "Primary systems online, Admiral." The bridge crew watched as the incoming energy weapons fire approached their ship. No one showed fear. They knew something the Velhari didn't. "Impact in 3, 2, 1. Haenul counted down. The brilliant beams of destructive energy struck the space around the Dauntless and vanished. There was no explosion, no shield flare, nothing but a slight shimmer in space where the weapons fire disappeared. Energy capture at 12% capacity. Jai-ho reported with professional detachment. Systems functioning perfectly. On his display, Do-hyun could see the confusion spreading through the Velhari fleet. Their fighters had halted their approach, and the larger ships were adjusting positions. "They're confused," Sunmai said, a hint of satisfaction in her voice. "Their sensors can't explain what just happened." Do-hyun nodded. "Now they'll try again, with more power. And then they'll begin to understand why Earth only needed to send one ship." The Velhari fleet opened fire without warning. Energy beams of green and purple sliced through space toward the lone human ship. Lieutenant Hae-Newell tracked the incoming attack on her screens with perfect calm. Multiple weapons firing from all directions. "Admiral," she reported to Do-hyun. Her voice steadied despite the danger. Do-hyun didn't flinch. "Activate defensive pattern Sigma. Hold our position." Throughout the Dauntless asterisk, hidden systems hummed to life. A subtle vibration ran through the deck plates as ancient machinery, perfected over centuries of human innovation, engaged. Outside the ship, space itself seemed to bend slightly, creating an almost invisible distortion around the sleek silver hull. The massive energy barrage from the Velhari fleet, enough firepower to destroy an entire city, struck this distortion. Then something strange happened. The beams didn't explode against shields. They didn't create a spectacular light show. They simply vanished, as if they had never existed. On the bridge of the Velhari flagship, Commander Tuckrow blinked all four of his eyes in rapid succession, a sign of extreme confusion among his kind. He stared at the display showing the human vessel, still intact and undamaged. "What just happened?" he demanded, his voice rising. "Where did our weapons fire go?" His weapons officer, a veteran of 17 space battles, looked equally confused. "The weapons discharged correctly, Commander. Energy signatures confirm this." But he tapped frantically at his console. "There's no impact. It's as if the energy simply disappeared before reaching the human ship." "That's impossible." Tuckrow slammed his fist down on his command panel, denting the metal with his superior strength. His neck frills flared with anger. "No defense system can do that. Reposition the fleet. All ships focus fire on Sector 7G." Throughout the massive Velhari battle group, ships began to move. Their famous crescent formation tightened, creating a complete sphere around the small human vessel. This time, they would leave no avenue for escape. "All ships reporting ready, Commander," his tactical officer announced. "Fire everything," Tuckrow ordered. Over 50 weapon systems activated simultaneously. The space around the Dauntless asterisk lit up like a small sun as energy weapons of all types converged on the ship. Inside the human vessel, Engineer Jai-ho watched the readings on his console with the calm interest of a scientist observing an experiment. The numbers flowed across his screen, showing exactly what was happening to the incoming Velhari attack. "Energy absorption at 12% capacity, Admiral," Jai-ho reported, sounding almost disappointed that the alien weapons weren't more powerful. "The conversion systems are working perfectly. All that energy is being stored in our matrix." Do-hyun nodded, satisfied. "Our intelligence reports were accurate about their weapons capabilities." Admiral Do-hyun sat motionless in his command chair as the alien's face filled the main screen. The Velhari commander, with his 6 arms and shimmering scale-covered body, made no attempt to hide his amusement at finding a single human ship in their territory. "This is your final warning, human vessel," the alien said, his translator giving his voice an unnatural metallic quality. "You have exactly 1 hour to surrender before we open fire." Do-hyun studied the alien calmly. Behind him, the bridge crew of the Dauntless asterisk continued their work without showing fear, despite being surrounded by 30 massive Velhari warships arranged in their famous crescent attack formation. "Perhaps we can discuss this," Do-hyun replied evenly. "I represent Earth with full diplomatic authority." The alien commander's neck frills expanded in what humans had learned was their version of laughter. "Diplomacy. with one tiny ship. Your Earth must not value these talks highly. He gestured with his upper arms toward the view screen showing his fleet. We have brought our finest warships to greet you. They are eager to test their weapons. Lieutenant Hae-Newell glanced up from her console. Her dark eyes met Do-hyun's briefly before returning to her screens. Admiral, they're scanning our ship extensively. They've already locked weapons on our engine section. Do-hyun nodded slightly. The Velhari were following the exact pattern Earth intelligence had predicted. Predictable. That would be their downfall. Velhari Commander, Do-hyun said, keeping his voice level, I strongly suggest you reconsider your hostile approach. Earth wishes for peaceful relations. The aliens' four eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of dismissal in their culture. A lone ship gives advice to the mighty Seventh Fleet. Your species truly is as arrogant as our records suggest. The commander leaned closer to his camera. 1 hour, human. Then we will show you the price of your arrogance. The screen went dark. Around Do-hyun, the bridge crew continued their work efficiently. They had trained for this moment for months. Each person knew exactly what would happen next. They didn't even ask why we came with just one ship, said Engineer Jae-ho, shaking his head as he monitored the ship's power systems. That's the question they should be asking. Do-hyun allowed himself a small smile. They believe they already know the answer. They think humans are either stupid or overconfident. Their scans won't tell them anything useful, Science Officer Sunmai said from her station. The outer hull is showing exactly what we want them to see. Hae-Newell looked up from her tactical display. Sir, they're moving 3 of their destroyer-class ships to positions behind us. They're trying to cut off any escape route. Let them, Do-hyun replied calmly. Status of our defensive systems. All systems green, Jae-ho confirmed. The energy matrix is at full capacity and ready. Do-hyun stood up and walked to the large view screen showing the Velhari fleet. The alien ships were enormous compared to the Dauntless Asterisk, each one bristling with weapons. Their hulls gleamed with a dull purple metallic shine under the light of the nearby binary stars. They've been the dominant force in this sector for over 300 years, Do-hyun said quietly. No one has challenged them successfully. They've grown comfortable. And arrogant, added Sunmai. Yes. Do-hyun turned to face his crew. That's why Earth Command sent just one ship. We're not here to start a war. We're here to end the possibility of one. On the tactical display, the Velhari ships continued to move into attack positions. They were following standard military doctrine, positioning their vessels to create overlapping fields of fire. It was a formation that had won them countless battles against other species. They're not even waiting the full hour, Hae-Newell noted. Their weapon systems are powering up now. Of course, Do-hyun replied. The commander never intended to wait. The threat was just a formality. He returned to his command chair and pressed a communication button. All crew, battle stations, prepare for imminent attack. Throughout the Dauntless Asterisk, the 50 crew members moved with practiced efficiency. Unlike the massive Velhari ships with crews of thousands, the human vessel operated with a minimal complement. Each person was an expert in multiple systems. Enemy vessels launching smaller attack craft, Hae-Newell reported. 20. No, 30 small fighters deploying. Do-hyun nodded. They want to test our defenses before committing their main fleet. Sir, Sunmai called out. We're being hailed again.